Ms. Kuster, you're now recognized for 5 minutes to speak in support of your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment would ensure that any successor to the choice program would account for those states and territories that lack a full-service hospital. In 2014, when Congress came together in a show of bipartisan support, it provided specific eligibility rules for states like my home state of New Hampshire. As many of you are now aware, the Manchester VA Medical Center has recently been in the news. The Boston Globe published an expose based on the allegations of a group of whistleblowers that were also doctors at the facility. Secretary Shulkin and I took action to begin correcting the situation in Manchester. The Secretary removed the director and the chief of staff and created a task force to seek improvements to the quality of care at the facility. With the leadership of my esteemed colleague, General Bergman, we held a field hearing in New Hampshire, and I want to thank General Bergman for making the trip. Subsequently, I requested that leadership in a task force be changed, and encouragingly, the Secretary has complied. Most recently, I led the New Hampshire delegation in requesting the construction of improved women's health care clinic after women veterans at an American Legion town hall on July 31st described wholly insufficient facilities for their needs, especially at the needs born from sexual trauma in the military. Due to our request, the VA has now agreed to construct a new women's clinic at the Manchester VA. Yet despite these improvements, Manchester still will need additional resources and support. The vast majority of my Granite State veterans that use this facility are currently eligible for the Choice Program. More importantly, the Manchester facility, because it is not a full-service hospital, relies upon the Choice Program to provide the care that our veterans expect and deserve. While I'll continue to work to increase the available care at the Manchester facility, we must ensure that the VA will account for those important and unique situations where veterans cannot access care. Do not misunderstand me. My veterans want VA-based health care. Years ago, many in the northern region of my state, known as the North Country, were extremely disappointed that the VA reneged on a promise to build 2 CBOCs. When VA downsized the Manchester VA, many were disappointed by that decision as well. In fact, the delegation routinely introduces legislation that would require the VA to increase the Manchester facility to a full-service hospital. I remain concerned by the underlying bill and that it will in fact be worse for my veterans, a group that has already seen their resources pulled and promises rescinded. The Choice Program is so valuable to my constituency because it complements the care that they want and deserve. Mr. Chairman and colleagues on this committee, please remember veterans like those in the Granite State when you design these reforms. I am willing to withdraw my amendment today, but I welcome the opportunity to work with my colleagues on this committee to make sure that the Choice Program works for our veterans in New Hampshire. I ask that the chairman commit to working with me on this critical issue to address veteran care in states lacking full-service VA hospital. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady withdraws. I certainly will be more than willing to do that.
Thank you,
Thank the gentlelady.
Thank you, sir.